Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
General Spooky Stories thread. I have no stories because I'm boring.
I've had a few experiences over the years. Our house in Michigan is always my sister and me, the creeps. I was house sitting with my best friend after the house had been put on the market and my parents had moved out west. My friend and I were sitting in the kitchen eating pizza at 1 a.m. and we heard a sound like ceramic breaking. Got up and looked in the bathroom where the noise seemed to come from. There was a little ceramic house that always sat on the toilet tank, and now it was upside down and one corner was broken off. Next thing was seeing a tiny UFO outside of work one day, about the size of a golf ball, perfectly round and shiny like chrome. It just drifted in a straight line about 12 feet off the ground, dipped a few times and corrected its altitude each time. Saw something in the park that shimmered and was transparent, kind of like the effect used for the Predator movies. I've had a few experiences over the years. Our house in Michigan is always my sister and me, the creeps. I was house sitting with my best friend after the house had been put on the market and my parents had moved out west. My friend and I were sitting in the kitchen eating pizza at 1 a.m. and we heard a sound like ceramic breaking. Got up and looked in the bathroom where the noise seemed to come from. There was a little ceramic house that always sat on the toilet tank, and now it was upside down and one corner was broken off. Next thing was seeing a tiny UFO outside of work one day about the size of a golf ball, perfectly round and shiny like chrome. It just drifted in a straight line about 12 feet off the ground, dipped a few times and corrected its altitude each time. Saw something in the park that shimmered and was transparent, kind of like the effect used for the Predator movies.
Be me. 10 years old. Mom recently married the man who would be my stepdad for the better part of the next 8 years. Visiting his dad up in the mountains. Cool old guy. Works on motorcycles. Loves having cookouts. Owns a small pot field out in nowhere. You're probably familiar with the type. Me, stepdad, and step-grandpa go down from the mountain to do some shopping in town. More an excuse to get the old man out of the house from what my stepdad says. Gone for about 2 hours. Returned when my mom texts stepdad that she started cooking. When we arrive, we unload out of the car. 10-year-old me is slower getting out than the adults. They're already heading up the stairs to the front porch by the time I'm closing my car door. Hear a voice that sounds just like my mom's telling me to come to help her with something. Voice came from the woods. Step-grandpa gets this look in his eyes. Something you'd expect to see from an old war vet who knows shit is about to go down. Yells to my stepdad, "Grab the boy, get him inside." Stepdad wrestles me into the house. Notice my mom is, in fact, still inside and finishing cooking. Stop struggling and ask what's going on. Stepdad grabs 2 hunting rifles from step-grandpa's gun stand and heads out the door without a word. They come back about 30 minutes later, just shrug it off when questioned. Won't talk about it to this day when I ask.
Not really spoopy, and I told it ages ago here, but here we go again. Family moved into another house, old brick house, weird layout, big rooms, big bathroom, single bedroom, but really big, so my parents and I slept in the same room. After a couple of months, weird stuff started happening. I start having nightmares every night. They all have the same theme of me being taken away. When having these nightmares, I would start sleepwalking and my parents would find me sleeping in the kitchen or the bathroom floor. parents start acting weird as well. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, and one of them would be standing up beside my bed, just looking at me without moving. When I asked them what was going on, they would reply with nothing, or go back to sleep, and go to sleep themselves. We got sick constantly. My father broke his foot, fell off the stairs twice. One of those times he ruptured his inner ear. I got pneumonia and stayed 17 days hospitalized. I had constant blackouts. I have no better way to name them but blackout. Basically, everything would turn black to me like I had passed out, and wake up 1 or 2 hours after. When asking my parents if I fell asleep, they said I was playing and running around. One day I was playing near the window. I should tie the curtain rope around my neck and jump from the sofa. My mother finds me a few seconds later hanging with the rope around my neck, trying to grasp for air.
B16, school exchange in the US. I'm from Europe. First night at host family. Feel a presence. Hear footsteps next to my bed. Muffled voices. Cannot recognise gender or words spoken. Alone in the room, the rest of the household is asleep and can hear parents snoring. What the fuck, I'm tired, I want to sleep.jpg. Try to push the presence away with my mind. Don't ask. I was on a plane for 12 hours and in the bus for 5 before that. And speak clearly in my mind. Just let me sleep. I don't care what you are, what you want. If you don't let me sleep tonight, I will make you regret. You'll regret being born, and then I'll go to sleep. So fuck off, let me sleep. Or something very similar to that. It stops. The following night, it's exactly the same. Stops after. Steps 4 to 5 are repeated. Think it's jet lag, though it didn't hit me until like a day and a half or 2 days later. The joys of a 16-year-old body. It doesn't happen again. Last day, talking about ghosts and paranormal experiences with the Murricans. Hostess goes, I've used the Ouija board in my room, but nothing showed up. Ask her if she told it goodbye or dismissed it in any way. She's like, no, should I have?
Be sitting in my bathtub in the basement. Completely dark, except for one candle. Nobody's home, not expected to be for a few hours. Get random compulsion to chant, if the devil is here, please answer. Immediately after, the upstairs door swings open, and my mom shouts my name. My family came home minutes before, and I hadn't heard them. Before you say my mother was the devil. Recently, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and psychosis, but I'm still going through assessment at the time. I am certain that this particular experience was real though, which makes it freakier than any psychotic break I've had. My mother is very religious and superstitious and has told me some experiences she had when she was younger to do with extrasensory abilities and sensing when something is not right. TLDRI might be crazy, but this really happened. Another one you might like, although not direct experience. I worked with a guy at a coffee shop for 2 years. Really cool guy, engineering student, although often zoned out and eccentric. Was getting to know him better as time passed, and I had turned in my 2 weeks' notice to quit this summer. We started talking about God, hell, conspiracies, aliens, etc. We got on the topic of lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis. Tells me one experience with sleep paralysis at age 8. He was sleeping in his bed, in a room he shared with his brother. Woke up in the middle of the night to the sight of 2 beings on the edge of his bed. Described them as purple with very sharp angled limbs, triangular heads, sharp elbows and knees. One was standing above him, the other at the foot of his brother's bed. One beside him making a motion of flicking a syringe. Panics and sits up, which is strange considering sleep paralysis. The alien leans over him and he falls into a deep sleep. He had the best sleep of his life, and his brother said the same thing the next morning. He's been seeing a psychiatrist for schizophrenia and has been suffering in school. You'll come to notice crazy people make friends with other crazy people. But I legitimately believe his story. From the first time he told me, I was like, yup, abduction, probing, etc. Or just a very odd bout of sleep paralysis, something I've never encountered before.
I am a merchant marine. Things can get strange on the water sometimes. Be me last year about midsummer. Be deckhand taking a barge of concrete blocks to the Bahamas. The night is unusually cold due to the lightning storm 500 yards off the port side. Not raining on the boat, but you can see the water curtain thanks to the full moon. 5 to 6 foot side rollers, nothing super crazy, sitting under exhaust stacks to keep warm. On the night watch, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., Barge starts to glow with St. Elmo's fire. It's beautiful. A glorious light blue glow coming off the barge. Watching the barge in awe, I notice movement out on the barge. The barge is 300 yards out and we are 100 miles off the coast. Find some binoculars and peek out at the barge. There's an incredibly tall man pacing on the bow of the barge. St. Elmo's fire is raw direct current. You'd be fried instantly if you were on the barge. A man eventually walks to the stern of the barge out of sight. Get to the Bahamas and inspect the barge. Concrete is packed so tight, you could never fit a stowaway on the barge. Not a skinwalker or other haunting, but the ocean is a strange place.
I don't think I have anything paranormal, but I have a small story to tell. When I was about 16, I was hanging out with my friend and his little brother. After playing some vidya, we decided to go play at the pool. After playing at the pool, we all decided to hang out in the sauna. We decide to spoof Satanists and do a fake ritual. After we finish, we're sitting around the sauna laughing about how ridiculous it all was. Then the shower in the women's room turns on. We thought we were the only ones in the building and my friends are spooked. I decided to go check it out. I open up the men's room door and the rest of the building is dark. I called out to receive no response, and I couldn't see a light on from under the door of the women's room. I open the door and turn on the light. The shower turned off right then, and there was no one there. Thoroughly spooked, I headed back to the sauna and suggested that we head back to their apartment. We get back to their apartment and the door is locked. We found this weird as their dad was supposed to be there. We headed around back and the sliding glass door was unlocked, but they lived on the second floor. So we give his little brother a boost onto the balcony and he unlocks the front door for us. About 15 minutes later, their dad gets home. He starts cooking dinner. He asks us where we were as he was looking for us. We told him we were at the pool around the time he said he was looking for us. He said he didn't see us at the pool. I told him that we were in the sauna. He said he checked the sauna and that we weren't there. Later, we all decided to head to bed, except me and my friends planned to sneak out that night. We wait for their dad to fall asleep, and we take our leave. We went to the nearby high school, stole some apples from the nearby high school. We continued our trip around town, and my friends alerted me to the fact that we were being followed by a homeless man known for stalking some of the girls at that high school. I suggested we head back, but my friends didn't want him to follow us back to the apartment. I made the executive decision to head further into town in hopes that someone would see what's happening and help us out of the situation. Kinda hard when you're in a huge suburb at 2 a.m. After a bit of wandering, brainstorming, and making a few calls, we decided to head back. We didn't call the police because we didn't want to get in trouble for sneaking out at night. We head back to their apartment in an extremely convoluted way with a mix of trespassing. Once we got to the high school, we all decided to split up. Me and his little brother would make a mad dash to the apartment, while my friend would attempt to outrun and lose the homeless man. Then we'd meet up back at the apartment. Halfway there, we started to catch our breath, and my friend caught up with us and said that he lost him. We walk the rest of the way and start winding down back at the apartment. We lock the door behind us and so forth. About 30 minutes later, the little brother catches a glimpse of the man hiding in the bushes behind the apartment. I assured them that we're safe because we were on the second floor and the door was locked. Soon we all fell asleep. I went home the next day and were hanging out a few weeks after they moved out, and they tell me that as they were moving out, they found a ton of deep scratches in their front door one day.
Looking back on this experience, I don't know what to think of it. Like, it was a weird experience nonetheless, but I have never heard anything similar to it. Be me, around 9 or 10 years old, randomly wake up in the middle of the night. I think my body just woke me up, since I probably needed to go to the bathroom. Look around the room. Nothing too odd. BMP. Next thing I know, I look at the wall directly in front of me, and I see it. A 3x3 grid rotated 45 degrees, just sitting there on the wall with each square in the grid cycling through different colors. I just lay there in my bed in fear, looking at this thing. Close my eyes and look around my room just to make sure it's not my brain fooling me. Still there. Half expected an alien to take me away or some shit due to me being extremely scared of aliens at the time. Go back to sleep eventually. I woke up in the morning and it wasn't there. Note: where the grid was located on my wall, there wasn't anything there prior to this. I also had a nightlight at the time, and it lit my room with light fairly well. It couldn't have been an item hanging on the wall that I owned, since my brain could have easily recognized it in the lighting. Most people I have told this to have shrugged it off as sleep paralysis. The thing is that I was fully functional at the time, and I chose not to move too much, since I didn't know what would have happened if I moved a lot and got out of bed.
I lived in a seriously haunted house for over 3 years, but I believe my family is haunted. Nearly every house we've lived in has had some unexplainable activity. Starting off, be me, probably 16 at the time. Dad works all day. Mom and sisters are out of the house, so just me and my dogs. Have baby gates blocking in our living room so our dogs don't roam the house and piss all over. Chilling downstairs on the couch with my dogs, watching TV and whatnot. Hear footsteps going down our upstairs hallway. This continues for a few minutes and sounds like running at certain points. Too scared to check. Fast forward a few weeks, I'm in summer school. My sister is now home with just the dogs. I get a text asking what the footsteps sounded like. Describe them to her. She says she hears them, but I don't hear anything from her till I get home. Get home, my mom is home by this time. Sister is visually shaken, and Mom describes to me what happened. Heard the footsteps and went upstairs to investigate. My parents' bedroom door was open. It's the first room in front of you when you go up the stairs. Always feel watched inside that room. Sister closes the door, starts going back down the stairs. All of a sudden, there's stomping and running coming from that same room. Sister nopes out and sits outside till my mom gets back. I've got a lot more stories if anyone wants to hear them. I'm pretty sure my dad is followed or something. He's dealt with ghosts, paranormal shit since he was a kid. Even my uncle has confirmed the stories. Continuing with my stories about my haunted houses. Be me, same time, probably around 16 or 17. My room is the only bedroom downstairs. I like to get up and get food, water, and whatnot in the middle of the night. Chillin', playing vidya late at night like usual. Get up to get a glass of water. Walk into the kitchen. Notice our pantry is open and the light is on. Weird to me, since Dad usually turns off every light and always shuts the door before he goes to bed. Figure one of my sisters just came down for a snack or something. Step in the pantry to get something, might as well since it's open and I don't have to worry about noise from opening the door. Just as I'm about to turn off the light, I hear a drawer open. I hear it make a small thump like it was pulled out all the way and some metal clanging. Look out of the pantry and the silverware drawer is wide open. Slowly walk up and close it and sprint back to my room. Same house. Footsteps are a common occurrence, things moving, usual paranormal stuff. Come home at 11:30 or 12 one night from a friend's house. Dad likes to sleep on the couch watching TV downstairs, so normally I have to creep into my room. I open the door and my mom is standing in the front room holding one of my dogs. Immediately ask her what's going on. She's never up this late, and I can tell something has happened. Says she saw a figure in her room, about 8 feet from her bed. To give you an idea of their room, the bed is there as soon as you walk in, facing the bathroom, which is down a small hallway inside the room. The bathroom is on the far end of the hall, and the hall has my mom and dad's closets on both sides. Back to the story. Saw the figure and immediately left her room with my dog. Turns out my youngest sister, who's about 7 at the time, was sleeping in there too, and my mom left her there. I can't leave her in there alone. Walk upstairs with my mom behind me. Go into the room. The shower door is wide open. My mom also has a small makeup mirror with a built-in light, which is also turned on. Move my sister to her room to sleep, not much I can do. My grandma had passed away while we were living at the house, and my mom believes she's the one who would turn on that light. I was very close to her, and it would always come on whenever I got in fights with my parents. I'll never forget one time I left my house after an argument and was breaking down, contemplating suicide. My mom called me crying, saying the light had turned on after I left. Still gives me chills. Have a few more. Might share some of my dad's stories too. Same house. At this point, my whole family was scared of what was going on. I have 3 sisters, one a year younger than me, and the other 2 were both under 10 years old at the time, so it was kind of a problem. Anyways, Mom has had enough. We'd already saged the house when we moved in, and it clearly did jack shit. Tells us she contacted a paranormal investigation team. Kinda excited. I figure it's going to be a Ghost Adventures type setup for the night with cameras and all the other equipment you see on TV. Turns out she just contacted a psychic. Disappointed. Skeptical as she arrives, but she walks all through the house normal psychic shit. Tells me my room is clear, thankfully. But when she gets upstairs to my parents' room, says there's definitely shit here. Tells us there's upwards of 11 spirits in our house. Oh no. JPG. Tells us there's a strong male presence. Makes sense considering the shadow figure my mom saw. Also a small child. My mom told me a few months beforehand she saw a child figure running around her bed one night. None of this was told to the psychic. Figure it's coincidence after all, it's not like she dialed in on who or what it was. This next part kinda creeps me out though, made me second guess her abilities for sure. Sister plays volleyball and track, has a framed jersey in her room, medals, pictures, all that. Psychic says, I know you don't play it, but I keep just feeling water polo when I look at you. Kinda confused. Whatever, just a psychic loony. She sages the house, blesses it, leaves, whatever. Very next day, sister gets in a minor car accident at high school. Got hit by a fucking water polo player. Still trips me out. Another story, this time from a different house. I never experienced anything myself, but my parents certainly did. Thankfully, it was nowhere near as bad as the one I've been posting about. Be me, 10 or 11 years old. My youngest sister had just been born. The second was about 5 at the time. She would always get up and wake my parents up with the same greeting, something along the lines of, "It's a beautiful sunny day." One night my parents are sleeping in bed. Mom hears a girl giggling, thinks it's my sister with her usual morning routine and thinks nothing of it. Checks the clock and it's 3:30 a.m. Not right, sister doesn't come into their room until around 6:30 or 7. Also notices the light attached to their ceiling fan is on. The only way to turn this particular light on is by pulling on the chain. My sister was definitely not tall enough to reach it. The fan is almost centered over their bed. You would have to climb on the bed to turn it on. Wakes my dad up. Checks on sisters. All are sound asleep. This happens every few weeks or so. Sometimes the same giggling like a little kid, or the light would be on. Moved out of that house after the lease was up. The only thing that really happened there. Continuing. This story is from a different house. This time it directly happened to me. Be me, 9 years old. Had never had any direct encounters with anything but was fascinated with ghosts and all that shit. Trying to sleep one night, Dad and some friends are hanging out drinking and listening to music in the garage, which happens to be right under my room. Start hearing a tapping on my window. This window looks into the side of our backyard, gate to the front yard, and our neighbor's house is visible from it. Wait for it to go away, but it continues. We have a lot of pigeons that like to land on our house, so I pull back my blinds, and nothing is there. I get back in bed, and it starts again. It's not in a pattern or rhythm. Imagine like a little kid poking a fish tank. I get annoyed and go downstairs and figure it's my dad or one of his friends messing with me. Ask about it, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. Dad suggests it might also be a pigeon. This window is at least 12 feet off the ground. There's no way a person could reach it without a ladder. Go back to my room a little more scared. Tapping continues. I check the window again, pulling the blinds back and looking from every possible angle. There's nobody there, and it's completely dark. Scared shitless, so I just go to bed, bring it up to my dad the next day, and he just dismisses it as the birds.
I haven't experienced enough paranormal activity to consider myself a believer, but something happened the other day that seemed odd. I was visiting my mum to do some laundry. She was all over the place doing chores and whatnot, and I watched TV while I waited for the laundry to finish. I started getting hungry, so I called out to her to ask if I could make a sandwich. I thought she was in the kitchen, but when I didn't hear a reply, I assumed she was in the bathroom. "Mom?" I called. "Mom, are you there?" I heard her voice from the bathroom, and I could see that the door was shut, indicating that it was occupied. "Ugh!" I heard her grunt. I've heard this before whenever she drank too much and got sick. I knew she must be vomiting. "Mum, are you okay?" I was outside the bathroom door at this point. "Mum?" I slowly opened the door to check on her, but surprisingly there was no one in the bathroom. I started getting confused because I first thought she was in the kitchen, then the bathroom, so I checked outside and finally I found her. She was assembling something for her cats outside. "There you are. I thought you were in the kitchen. Do you care if I make a sandwich?" "No, go ahead." I made my sandwich, sat back down to watch TV, and it wasn't until I was a few bites in that I stopped and realized something. Who grunted from behind the bathroom door?
When I was 9, my aunt and uncle came home for Christmas with their newborn baby. One night they decided to go out and had my grandma watch the baby for them. I happened to be staying at my grandparents' too, and that night I woke up to a baby crying. I figured it was my cousin, so I got up to check on him, only to find him fast asleep, but the crying was still there. I soon realized that the crying was coming from the second floor, where no one ever went because it was used entirely for storage of old junk. The cries got louder, and then I heard frantic footsteps going down the upstairs hallway that made the ceiling fan above me shake. The footsteps stopped near the crying and turned into more of a pacing motion. I heard a woman shushing and singing to the baby, whose cries turned into a gentle whimper. The next day, I told my grandma and aunt about the crying and singing, to which my grandma insisted I was dreaming, but my aunt gave me a knowing look. Later in life, my aunt told me all about the different spirits that she encountered living in that house, and the crying baby and singing mother was one of them. I have another story from my grandparents' house. It's actually a 2-in-1, but that's the only way I can tell it. My grandma took care of my great-grandpa until his very last breath. I spent every day over there helping take care of him and just spending time with him. He died from congestive heart failure. My grandparents had this little dog who never left my great-grandpa's side. She stayed snuggled up next to him for 2 weeks, never even getting up to eat or go outside. When he let out his last breath of air, the dog flew off the bed and went running upstairs and hid there for days. When she finally came down, my grandma noticed a lump on her chest. So she took the dog to the vet, and oddly enough, the dog was diagnosed with congestive heart failure too. The lump was her heart, which had swelled to about 3 times its size. The dog lived for a month before my grandma was forced to put her down. She was cremated, and her remains were placed in a little wooden box that was kept on top of the entertainment center until the ground thawed, so that we could bury the dog and my great-grandpa together. A week after her cremation, I stayed at my grandparents' house as usual. That night I had the most vivid dream of the dog jumping onto my bed and licking my face. Then I heard growling outside the window, which for some reason was open in my dream, and I turned to look and saw a big black wolf with red eyes jump towards the window. The little dog jumped out at it and disappeared. Then I woke up crying, which woke my grandma up, and she asked what was wrong. So I told her about the dream, and she said she had a dream about the dog jumping out the window too. And the next morning, my cousin, who was also staying the night, said he had a dream about a black wolf growling outside the window.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.